Good day everyone, and welcome back to Will Wonderful World. Last time, just more stuff with cats and police and drug dealer. So let's go. We have two more letters.
为什么会这样？
A gray world and
No puedo regresar.
a woman with fiery hair. Let's see Jimmy. Jimmy seems to be sort of in the dumps. Let's see what's going on with him. The manga was gray. The sky was gray. Even the happy three friends that had been playing on the screen looked gray. For the past 2 days, I've been faking a foot injury. I hadn't left the room at all. Even though my meals had been brought home by Rocky, I felt like a lump of sludge running from the computer. Why would she spend her birthday with the art teacher? Were they a couple? Closed the episode of Happy Tree Friends, then I longed in my secret blog. All the recent entries had been about her. Most recent one had some pictures I had taken on her birthday. She'd gone to a cafe and then left together, rode the subway, even went into the same apartment. Even though I had found out that they were neighbors, it still felt too much of a coincidence. Did she move next door knowing they lived together? I kept scrolling through pictures, imagining if it had been me instead. I looked at her from afar, but I couldn't summon the courage. When I finally had my line, it was Mr. Wren who got in ahead. Jimmy, I'm gonna eat the last piece of cake in the fridge if you don't, Rocky yelled from the living room. Yeah, go ahead. Wiped my face hastily. Thank you, I'll bring you more chicken legs tonight. Rocky had thought it was my birthday 2 days ago. I had ordered a cake from Hong Kong. Thank goodness I didn't put her name on it. Took another glance at those annoying pictures. Clicked the delete button. Confirmation dialog popped up. I couldn't do it. Dragged myself to the bathroom. Looked in the mirror. My face was horribly pale. My hair was all messed up. Even the reflection seemed to be mocking my loser self. Took a wet towel and went back. Rinsed my glass with boiling water. Poured some milk. Grabbed the face cream, squeezed the container. Held the glass up and stirred, and then took a big sip. I just made a huge mistake. I thought the milk tasted bitter because of my mood. It also had a minty taste. Tongue felt numb. I had smoothie face cream. Make your face smooth like a smoothie. Then I remembered I'd run out of honey. Spit all the remains of the flavored milk on the computer, but the real tragedy is yet to come. While I was busy wiping the keyboard, I accidentally pressed enter. I never had any backup for those pictures. I always felt guilty about them in the first place. Now they were gone. All gone. Jimmy. Okay. Rinse the glass. Simple mistake, simple to fix, I guess. I eventually hit the cancel button. Still couldn't bring myself to do it. Couldn't tell if I was just too tired or it was because of the milk. Hunched over the desk and fell asleep. Well, you know what? That was a quick one, so let's just find the final one. First the milk, then the container. Nope, that's just S. There we go. The sip of water I just taken must have been sitting there for days. I felt my stomach rumbling and hurting. I rushed into the bathroom. Felt like crap. I began to suffer through this. I couldn't have felt worse. Jimmy, let me see your homework. Yeah, it's on the computer. Just check for yourself. No carrot, but right. Got it, Jimmy. You're the man. Let me know if I can help you sometime. Why did I never have any luck? My goddess of fortune, where on earth are you? Feel bad for him. But then, final thing. A woman with fiery hair. Thursday. Side of a bush-covering hill 2 kilometers away from Tyo Road. Through the scope of my M110, I was staring at a factory 1 kilometer away. There was no vantage point other than factory. This was the closest FFP, final firing position. The wind speed was 4.3 meters. No sign of that changing. Mil dot for -2. Laid out the bullets next to me in a straight line, warming them up in the sun. 2:10 p.m. A small yellow sedan drove up to the factory, loading. The door opened, and a woman with a full head of fiery red hair came out of the car. Her name was 𝐂 𝐒.𝐿𝐻. She was the head of the firearms smuggling team in the Blood Gang. Aiming. Pulled the trigger. Target was down. Saw a flash from the window. There was another sniper aiming at me. Bullet pierced and shattered the scope. Jerked myself to the side. Bullet didn't go through my eye, so my opponent had hoped, but it did give me a severe injury. Right side of my face was burning. It felt like it was on fire. Lowered my body and slid down the other side. Got on the motorcycle that I prepared in advance. However, on my way back, my consciousness began drifting. I lost consciousness. The bike tumbled head first. Blood was mixing with the muddy water. It was black everywhere. My Luan had been killed. Completing a mission like this was rather embarrassing. Perhaps this wasn't the right job for me after all. Alicia. Well, I already knew it was Alicia from her story, so... There we go. Take out the target. Take out the target. I could see in the scope the opponent had dodged my killing shot. Nevertheless, I had earned enough time to disengage. While I was distracted, the red-haired woman had disappeared from my sight. Lowered my body, slid down, and on my motorcycle that I prepared, they would no doubt be enhancing their security. I failed my first mission. I didn't know how to report back to Ray. Noise from engine echoed. It growled. An upset monster made me feel even more unsettled. How many endings are there? There's a lot. Great. That helps me. There we go. The bullet was right in front of my right eye. I had only one thought, just as about to pierce my skull. I'm sorry, Ray. Never mind. The target was down. I pulled the trigger. I jerked myself to the side. The bullet didn't go through my eye as the opponent hoped, but it did give me a severe injury. The right side of my face was burning. It was on fire. Low my body slid down. I got on the motorcycle that I prepared. On the way back, I lost consciousness. Stumbled into a ditch. Blood and muddy water mixed. Black and red everywhere. Mission would have been a failure. The bullet was fired along my calculator, but Luan was able to drop down and dodge it at the last moment. The sniper must have given her a warning. So... Can I not? Okay. There we go. That might do something. I could see in the scope that my opponent had dodged my killing shot. Nevertheless, I had earned enough time to disengage. Mission accomplished. On my body and slid down. I got on the motorcycle that I prepared, rode away faster than a breeze, reported the news to Ray in the suite in the top floor of the Melody Hall. He was very happy. I have something for you. Ray picked up his coat from the floor and put it in a small box from his pocket. He handed it to me with his left hand. It's a shame I can't help you put it on. Later, I put the glamorous jeweled necklace into my special treasure box collection. Then I took out a necklace with a cross. It was a necklace that I had worn ever since I was a kid. Put in an envelope, mailed it to my brother. Over the last 4 years, I had been regularly sending money to the orphanage back home. Aunt Benita had also written back to me a couple of times. Told me that Carlos had been doing well, and he worked very hard in school. Carlos must have been all grown up now. He must have become a fine young man. I really wish that one day I could get a letter written by him. So, what have I got? Just the 2 I can worry about that later. But, oh yeah, speaking of which, haven't heard anything from Carlos in a while. Wonder what's going on with him. Got some new letters. It's a little early, so let's get it. Life is like a box of chocolate milk.
Lo siento.
The dancer.
마녀, 돌아왔으면
Stalking mission. Well, you know what? Let's do the 1. Life is like a box of chocolate milk. As soon as I walked into school, I knew something was wrong. Everyone I knew and didn't know was looking at me with a strange look. They were all talking about something in a hushed voice. That was the girl. Wasn't the teacher new here? Pretty old, wasn't he? Honestly, I wouldn't say no to a teacher's hands was him. But living together? Oh no, that's too far. Living together? What the hell were they talking about? Jin was standing at the door. She rushed towards me and dragged me into a restroom. She put out her phone and showed it to me. It was the top post of the school BBS forum. Senior student Lee went from class 1 living together with the hot new art teacher. There were also a few photos of me, clearly taken from a distance in secret. All of them were from the evening of the exhibition. Jimmy, what the fuck did you do? There were pictures of us at the entrance, in the cafe, even with us going into our building. Dear God, what the hell were all these? What did you do? Did you piss somebody off? Why would someone stalk you and take pictures of you and make them public? What's going on? Read through the post carefully. Posted by a newly registered account with no other information. The poster clearly wanted to remain anonymous. Thought about it as hard, yet I had no clue. Couldn't think of anyone who could be so mad at me as to do this. How could I ever explain this whole thing? Then the third floor, hoping to explain myself to Mrs. Yang. Just about to step in the hallway, two boys stopped me. Miss Lee, we heard you're living together with the new art teacher. He isn't even that handsome, is he? What do you think about us? Would you like to give us a shot? I was thinking about how to get rid of these losers when I saw Mr. Wren come from the office and pass nearby. He obviously noticed me, but he pretended he hadn't. All my strength had suddenly left. I was at a loss. I wanted to stay in school for one more moment. I ran back to the classroom, grabbed my backpack, ran away from school in plain sight of everyone. There was a 7-Eleven. My stomach hurt. Started rumbling when I arrived. I walked in, bought a box of chocolate milk. I ended up giving them the wrong bill. Then I left the store. I walked to the small alley. I felt a sudden spell of dizziness and blacked out. My wallet fell out. The milk box was open and glugging down the throat. I saw a dark, thick hand pick up my wallet and throw the empty milk in the trash. He carried me on his shoulder and kept walking deeper into the alley. His eyes began to slowly close shut as I couldn't open them anymore. I'm being taken away by a bad man. I'm screwed. When I opened my eyes, I found myself locked in a strange room without a window. My uniform, shirt, and underwear scattered on the floor. Everything was dirty and ruined, including me. Pain was coming from all over my body, reminding me that this is the first time I hadn't woken up. The door screeched open. A man wearing beach shorts and a tank top walked in. I recognized him. I finally realized that for some people in this world, there was nothing beneath them. Robbery, kidnap, even. I tried to back away from him, but my legs were tied to the table. I couldn't move. I could only shut my eyes, hoping that I wished I could pass myself out again. I hoped that someone had noticed me when I was taken. If only I had left some clues. Someone help me. The fuck happened? I'm sorry. Who did this? Wait, beach shorts and a tank top. Wasn't that the guy from Chang's story? Wasn't he wearing a tank top and beach shorts? What the fuck? Wallet fell out. Milk box open. Walked in the alley. Felt dizziness. In a haze, I saw a pair of dark, thick hands pick me up. He then carried me on his shoulder. I'm being taken away by a bad man. I'm screwed. Tried my best to focus and squeeze the milk box in my hand. The drops of milk left a trail. The box was emptied out and there was nothing left. He took another turn and even a more obscure, tiny path. My eyes began to close shut as if they couldn't open anymore. Maybe it was my final wish, but I saw someone running towards us. When I opened my eyes, I found myself lying in my own bed, covered with a warm blanket. My bag and wallet were on the chair next to the bed. No one else in the room. Someone who had been passing must have saved me. Although, how could a random hero know where I lived? My phone buzzed twice. Jing texted me more than once. Are you okay? I just heard that the school BBS had been hacked. Everything was gone. Feel better, okay? Everything will be better soon. Jin, thank you. Hackers? A hero who saved me, and Mr. Wen. So many things had happened today. I pulled the blanket to cover my face. I'd been completely drained. I didn't want to think about anything anymore. What's the history look like? Oh, there are a few ways that could have messed up, but... Nah, you know what? I think I'll do one more. One more. Just sort of even 4 stories. Stalking mission. Officer Jia-Yan was still in the hospital. Meanwhile, Officer Min Jun had not shown up for work in a few days either. Lieutenant King had mentioned that he'd been absent for health reasons. So he and I were the only active members. We were in room 403 of the Sunshine Apartments. But there was no sunshine at all. The room had no furniture except a fridge, a microwave, and a simple gas stove and some bowls and dishes. Window shades had blocked all the light for months. The whole room smells like mold. However, it's a perfect location for surveillance. Quickly set up the telescope and pointed out the window in the middle of the 3rd floor of the opposite building. I could see through the telescope the figure of a full-figured woman was having breakfast. Her lover was a drug dealer in the Yu-Song team of the Musing gang, who oversaw the transportation of all their goods. He was also an important suspect in the murder case for a few days ago, and he hadn't been seen in the past few days. It's my first time partnering with Lieutenant King. I had not been in Unit 4 for long, but I had come to learn that it was nothing like the rumors I had heard. Unit 4 didn't have a lot of people, but it had abundant talent. An amazing marksman, master of transfiguration, not to mention Lieutenant himself, who was a hidden beast. Kang had told me the truth about what happened to him during our fight after Officer Ying was stabilized. He told me that I had met his other personality, Yang Zhan. He was a different person altogether. Zhan was very violent, and he didn't have access to Lieutenant Kang's memories. Therefore, for the safety of his colleagues, he would usually only go on solo missions. I couldn't believe it at first. I had suspected that Lieutenant Kang was just yanking my chain because he didn't trust me yet, or because he didn't want to know the true source of strength. When I later went to visit Officer Ji-Young, she told me about her own experience when she first joined the unit, including the same story about the lieutenant. That was the first time I realized it was all true. Multiple personalities were not common, so the lieutenant always kept it to himself, especially about where it came from. In any case, this small quirk didn't stop me from feeling closer to him. Although he was a weird person with an even stranger temper, he cared about us deeply. Just the other day, he had gone screaming at Unit 3 because their men wouldn't shut the bathroom door properly and it was making my seat smelly. It was so awesome. As for the rumor about how no one wanted to join Unit 4, that was a lie. They must have all been sent away by the lieutenant, because they had been too weak. That must be the case. This is my first surveillance mission since joining the force. The more I thought about getting to be with the lieutenant alone for the next few days, the more excited I felt. I wonder if he would be willing to spar with me. Actually, how about now? Hey King, would you like to exercise a little? Doorbell buzzed with terrible timing. Opened the door and a young woman was standing outside. She said she was a freelance writer who lived next door. Saw that there was a new neighbor, so she wanted to come by and say hello. They then asked me what I did. She kept asking a lot of questions. There were so many that I became lost. I liked beautiful women, but I couldn't handle them. Just as I was stuttering hopelessly, the King came to rescue. He explained to me that we were brothers and we had just moved into the city. He was a journalist, I was his brother, who was a chef. Couldn't help but give him a look when I heard that last bit. After spending some time with him, I learned that Lieutenant King, while extremely sick, also had lots of tricks up his sleeve. The writer had not stopped oogling the lieutenant ever since he first laid eyes on him. See, that was our lieutenant, attractive in every possible aspect. Quickly got rid of her, told me to keep an eye on the room that we were watching before he left. He must have gone grocery shopping in preparation. Used to hear Officer Minjun tell stories about how he always had nothing but kimchi-flavored ramen. It wasn't particularly healthy, but as part of the mission, it was perfectly fine with ramen. Besides, I love kimchi. Okay. However, 20 minutes later, all I could see in front of my eyes was an entire grocery bag of ice cream? My heart was bleeding. How did I forget the lieutenant ate nothing but high-calorie junk food? Officer Minjun must have bought the ramen himself. I sat next to the lieutenant and resigned myself to my fate. I kept an eye on the mistress while munching on ice cream. I ate an ice cream cone while she was watching TV. I ate an ice cream cone while she was watering the flowers. I ate an ice cream cone while she was making lunch. I ate an ice cream cone while she was taking a nap. I ate an ice cream cone while she was eating ice cream. It was almost sunset. The ice cream was starting to make the ice cream for the night, and my ice cream began to rumble. Ice cream, ice cream, ice cream, ice cream, ice cream, ice cream. Jesus Christ. I mean, I like ice cream, but god damn, I can't think about that. Doorbell buzzed at inopportune time. I opened the door. It was the writer again. She was carrying a bag of groceries. You guys haven't eaten dinner, have you? Shall we eat together? I have some extra food. Besides, I would really love to witness the chef's skills. She walked past me and went straight into the house. She changed into a pair of slippers while standing in the doorway and kept peeking around the room. I could tell the dinner was not her real purpose. My stomach full of ice cream had me on the edge of a meltdown. Looking at the bag, I couldn't help but salivate. Wait a second, the chef? Was she referring to me? Well, Lieutenant, shouldn't you be responsible for your lies? Just as they came to the doorway, too, he slammed one hand on the wall with a bang. He stared at the writer with a lustful look. What a shame, we've just eaten. Sure, ice cream. Although I usually go to bed later than my brother here. Wait, who between us starts setting up his bed before 7? Can I come over later? Not a bad cook myself. Who can cook a milkshake? Well, you could just stuff out the fridge and set them aside for half an hour. To my surprise, the writer seemed really into the idea. In that case, I won't bother you now then. Well, goodbye, but leave the food. As for tonight, I don't sleep until late either. You're welcome to join me for a late night snack. You look so excited that I could think you'd go on for days without sleeping at all. The writer left. I let out a sigh of relief and then went back to the window. Ah, shit. The person at the bottom of the building was a drug dealer. He was about to take off. Rushed downstairs, but there was no sign of him anymore. For the next few days, we never saw an opportunity to hear them show up at the mistress' place. Considering he had left in a hurry, he probably wouldn't be coming back. Mission failed. Shang. So we gotta make the doorbell ring earlier or later. At the southeast corner of Hong Kong Island sat the large, most secure prison in the city, Hong Kong Central Prison. I gave the guards at the entrance the name Warden Chris. They glanced at my stripper outfit, casually flipped through the stuff in my tiny handbag, and let me through. No one else was in the warden's office except Chris. There was a radio placed next to the sofa. It was playing some unknown Latin music. Warden Chris' special hobby was likely the only weakness in this concrete fortress. He liked Latin music. Moreover, on the last few months, he would invite young female dancer into his office, none of the girls that have ever been seen again. Some people have suggested that he might have gotten new identities to start new lives somewhere else. Others insisted they were dead. In any case, that was the only information I managed to gather. The uncertainty made the mission tonight a little risky. Nevertheless, it was the only way for me to approach him. I ignored the warden's leering looks and started dancing the music. Didn't know the song, but the familiar melody still made me feel nostalgic. For a brief while, I felt like I was back in Mexico. I could imagine myself strolling the street of the lovely 𝐂 bathing in the warm sunlight, waving hello to everyone, saying buenos dias. I extended my hand towards the warden and shot him a passionate, inviting look. Grabbed my hand. Suddenly felt a pain in my stomach. I had to run to the bathroom. For some reason, my stomach started hurting. It gave me a bad feeling. If I proceeded, it was probably not going to go smoothly. My instincts had never been wrong before. I escaped the bathroom window. Never force yourself when you're feeling uncertain. Ray had taught me that. Warren Christ had always seen my face, which meant I couldn't attempt this mission anymore. But even if we sent someone else, it would be riskier to follow the same strategy. I screwed up Ray. Alicia. Okay, so we need to make sure her mission's a success and their mission's a success. He grabbed one hand. Okay. How's this gonna work? It must be the ice cream. Fuck me. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus Christ. I was not expecting that. When I finally got out of the bathroom, both the writer were gone. Not until later did I learn that while I was in the bathroom, the lieutenant had seen the drug dealer showed up. He didn't want to interrupt me, so he had gone alone. In the end, the drug dealer eventually outran him after more than a dozen blocks. If I had gone with him, okay, it was the ice cream's fault. Yes, it was the ice cream's fault. Perhaps my passion had infected the warden. He was beginning to get a different look in his eyes. There was something twisted and dangerous about that look. Feeling a little uneasy, I decided to make my move immediately so that I could complete my mission, but he grabbed my left hand so tightly I couldn't get out of my grasp. I forcibly pulled my hand, or should I wait patiently? Then he kissed me. It was already too late by the time I noticed a strange taste in my mouth. First thing I saw was the sky and the ocean and the beach. I was lying on an empty beach, naked with bruises all over my body. If I were a regular girl who had not been through 4 years of assassin, I would have died by now, so that's where the other girls had gone. Abused and dumped in the ocean. However, Warden Cease had already seen my face and means I couldn't attempt the mission anymore. Okay. I screwed up Ray. He grabbed my hand. Sudden pain in the stomach. No, sudden pain is the bad ending. So what does this do? At the door, Lieutenant King stared at the writer with a lustful look. What a shame, we've just eaten. Sure, ice cream. Although we usually go to bed very late. Between us starts setting up his bed before 7. Also, we're not really brothers. I only eat snacks that he makes. The remaining snacks. Lieutenant King grabbed my hand tightly and held them up in front of the writer. For some reason, her expression reminded me of the ladies who had come to the temple to pray. They would often make the same face when they saw my handsome brothers in the temple. In that case, I won't bother you two then. Well, goodbye, but leave the food. Enjoy your snacks. Food! In the end, the writer left at the grocery. She had even given me a wink. My heart skipped a beat. Did I just fall in love? However, when I turned around and saw the bag of ice cream again, I accepted my fate. I went back to the window and realized something terrible. He had left. Okay. Alright, so do something with the bathroom or something. Okay, we only have, well, here's the thing. Is there no. There we, no. What about that? Oh, that does something. I felt a sudden pain. He grabbed my hand. Barged into the bathroom and cornered me. He picked up the fake fingernails that I just left on the sink. He noticed the fatal smell. 4 years ago, he gave me a second chance at life. Every day I had since then been a gift from him to me. If I didn't know anything happened between him or Chris, nor did I care. I could never let anyone take advantage of Ray. I would rather die than give him up. I bit down. A taste of bitter almonds exploded in my mouth. What? Okay, just nothing. I peeked at Lieutenant King in the house. He didn't look like he was gonna help me out at all. For the sake of fresh veggies, took the bag from her hand and let the writer in the kitchen. I wasn't a professional, I was perfectly capable of making a few dishes. Back when I was at the Shaolin Temple, helping out in the kitchen has always been a mandatory daily chore. However, when I finished my stir-fry, Lieutenant King was already gone. Not until later did I realize that I was in the kitchen. Lieutenant had seen the drug dealer shown up at the house. He didn't want to interrupt me, and so he had gone after the bad guy alone. In the end, the drug dealer outran him. If I had gone with him, we wouldn't have been able to catch him for sure. It was my fault. Why the hell was I cooking? I don't know. What's the history look like? For her, all bad. For him, some good, some bad. Let me think. What if I just put all the eggs into both take the eggs out of one basket and put them into another? It must be the ice cream. Fuck, I hate that sound. Putting on his masterclass even in the bathroom. When I finally got out of the bathroom, both the writer were already gone. He ran out. Okay, fine. He didn't want to interrupt me, so he went alone. Drug dealer outran him. It was all the ice cream's fault. Yes, it was. He opened the drawer and handed me the cash. You may leave now. I returned the way I came in and left the prison. The warden hadn't shown any interest. Why? Did I give something away? Okay, so... let's swap them around then. She gets his line, and he gets hers. Perhaps my passion had infected the warden. He was beginning to get a different look in his eye. There was something twisted and dangerous about that look. Feeling a little uneasy, I decided to make my move so I can complete the mission. Warden Christ suddenly began struggling to breathe. He fell to the ground while grabbing at his own neck with his hand. His face turned to a dangerous purple. He would never see the tiny scratch on the back of his neck that was killing him. I calmed myself, took off the nails and the excessive dress, and jumped out the window. Okay, there we go. Oh, am I gonna shit myself down the... Am I gonna shit myself? Go! I had barely pulled my pants up when Lieutenant King grabbed my arm and led me down the bathroom. We ran to the drug dealer. He took a glance at Lieutenant King and immediately started running as soon as he recognized him. The guy was pretty fast. We ran after him for a few blocks before we finally trapped him in a small alley from both ends. The next day in the interrogation room, he was very tight-lipped, refusing to answer any of our questions. After half an hour, without any progress, he stood up and turned off the camera. He went back to his seat and leaned closer to the table. He whispered to the guy, "How about we make a deal?" A deal? What kind of trick was he playing now? The guy was apparently curious as me. He leaned forward, waiting to hear what this deal was. He pulled out a switchblade, flicked it open, and stabbed it into the back of the guy's left hand. The guy screamed, but he didn't move, worried about hurting his hand even more. Suppose he was unwilling to risk his own life. Finally started saying, "If I answer your questions, are you going to recommend a lighter sentence?" Lieutenant smiled, pulled the knife out, put it away without even wiping the blood. After he gave us a statement, the dealer took off his jacket and threw it aside while cursing nonstop. That was when I saw a giant green python. The lieutenant suddenly went quiet. I called his name more than a few times before he finally came back. He stood up, patted me on the shoulder before he left the room, said to me, "He's yours now. Make him pay." Ooh. Well. Huh. That was interesting as hell. I think we can do one more. Yeah, I think we can do one more. What do we got? More medals. New person. Bachelor pad. Keep out.
说过，时间可以重来。
Troubles in the middle of the summer. And
No
then
puedo regresar.
a black box.
마녀,
Disaster
돌아왔으면
Unit
했다네.
4. You know what? I think to end it off, let's see this new guy who only has... The other ones have like little things at the end. This guy only has the one. Interesting, interesting. Let's see what this guy is. In the 113th minute, Mario 𝐂𝐒 stopped the ball and hit a perfect shot. Goal. Argentina had lost in the World Cup final. It was over. Game over. Oh, come on. I had stayed up all night for this. Pound the table as hard as I could. No one was going to complain anyway. Everyone had gone home, otherwise I wouldn't be here watching the final all by myself. 𝐬𝐞 had been over a month ago. My best friends were all traveling around the country. No, around the globe. One would have to be completely nuts to still be living in the school dorm. Yes, I was talking about myself. Well, Jimmy too. Since my family was moving and my parents were both too busy with their jobs, they told me to stay at school for a couple more days. It was worse, I had been in charge of moving myself, so I was unable to go out and have some fun. The last summer of high school. Wasted. I didn't know what Jimmy had been up to recently. See, it wasn't even 5 a.m., and he was already gone. Well, we shouldn't be spending too many more days together anyway. Jimmy had said his father's business seemed to be going well, so they would be going back to Hong Kong soon. Told him I'd be doing a formal send-off. By formal, I just make grilled chicken wings at the bar near school. He said it wasn't necessary. What a killjoy. I was too tired. Decided to eat that apple before I went to bed. Rinsed the apple off, put it on my desk, but I accidentally knocked it to the floor. You dare hide from me, apple? I'm gonna wash you again, and you're still getting eaten. Looked down and noticed a basin under Jimmy's bed, giving off a faint smell. Oh God, please, no. I had a bad feeling about this. Out of curiosity, oh boy, dear God. I don't really believe in God, but I had to call out his name. It was filled with dirty clothes and stinking socks, all submerged in water. Who knew how long these had been there? I didn't even dare guess the age of the little mushrooms that were growing and thriving. A strong, sour smell filled the air. Just like that, I was sitting in the middle of our room for over an hour. Jimmy finally came back. I had decided not to go to sleep till I confronted about this thing I had been staring at the entire time. I felt like I might pass out. Jimmy, did you ever worry about us getting cancer with a chemical weapon like this in our room? Alright, I'll clean it up now. And just like that, he dumped the entire basin all into the common washing machine. Dear Lord, I had to call out his name once again. Jimmy had always been a great friend, smart, reliable, loyal. The only problem is he never cared about hygiene. I always considered myself to be pretty messy, but I never imagined I would meet someone even worse. I was stunned. Rocky. Ah, this is that Rocky kid. Okay. Next letter. Oh, alright. Trouble's in the middle of the summer. The weather had been getting warmer. Sat on the roof of the classroom building, watching the boys down the basketball court, trying to compete to see who looked the coolest while making a shot. So childish. A few days ago, photos of me and Mr. Wren had been posted to the board, and it had gone viral. Had to explain the whole thing to Miss Young and even the supervisor. People in the school eventually learned we were just neighbors, and we were not living together. There were some trusty people who insisted it was not coincidence that we were living so close. Even some more blatant people who would follow me. However, these people were not going to get anything, because ever since that day I had not seen him myself. He hadn't come to school, hadn't been home, lights had been off every night. I didn't have the courage to go and knock on his door, even though it was right next to mine. Maybe he had moved away, since I brought him too much trouble? When my mind was missing, I got checks from Jin. Breaking news, Mr. Wen is back. The art class this afternoon will resume as normal. I couldn't believe my eyes. He must have gone missing all these days because of the photos. If I went to his class, wouldn't people in class gossip? That'd be causing him even more trouble. But if I didn't know, people would still be gossiping, right? What should I do? Dessert day in the class was yogurt. I opened a cup, but then didn't really have much of an appetite, so I just left it on the table. It's so hot today. With my hand and knocked it over. Yogurt spilled all over the floor, making a big white mess. Took out some napkins and wiped the floor. By the time I was done, the art class was already over. I lay on the roof, staring at the gray sky. Another text from Jin. The classroom is full today. You should have been there. Should have been there to see how I shut all those people up for bad-mouthing you. Oh, and then the class tore up everyone's sketches. This man probably should have gone to class. What should I do with the class the day after tomorrow? Li Wen. So she needs to go to class. Okay. Hey, I just realized. Have Jimmy and Rocky both graduated from high school already? Li Wen's letter is something that happened not long after the previous incident. Still must be in high school, right? You're right. Even though their letters arrived together for us, the events they experienced might not have happened at the same time. In fact, they could have happened days, months, years, even centuries apart. For us, time is not an absolute concept, it's only relative. When we receive letters, there is currently proven by casual links among them. For example, we have received a letter saying that Jimmy would be going back to Hong Kong after graduation. That means this event was already bound to happen. I see. Let's put all the eggs in the basket. Nope. What's the history like? Okay. Okay. How about this? Just replace them both. There we go. Switch them up. The yogurt tasted stranger than usual. Had it gone bad? Well, that would actually be great for me. I could just go hide in the infirmary with a stomachache as an excuse. With such a legitimate reason, no one would be able to say anything else about me. Held my breath and drank the whole cup. Our class was on the way to the infirmary. I couldn't help myself, so I stuck up behind the door and took a peek through the window. They were doing sketch practice. Mr. One was standing with his back towards me, looking at Rocky's sketch. Why was Rocky drawing? That Mr. One was watching so closely. Still on my toes, suddenly turned around. Thank God I crouched down just in time. However, the sudden move must have caused my stomach to start hurting, like a bad cramp. It wasn't too bad. Finally got to the infirmary with a hand pressed against my stomach. I stayed there till the end of school. Jimmy had already half-assed everything, and he never followed through with anything. I would never learn if I didn't teach him a lesson. Plus, I really couldn't stand this any longer. His dirty clothes and the mushrooms had spilled on the floor with the smelling water flooding the room. Ah, there came the star of the show. Jimmy just walked in. He let out a grunt of surprise and immediately walked over to his bed to pick up his precious gaming console. He even stepped over the mushrooms. You win. Jimmy recognized my anger and started cleaning the room without a word. As long as he learned his lesson. That's him, so... That's his S rank, but what about... That's an A. Okay, here we go. Oh, so just knocking it over gives him an S, okay. The yogurt tasted kind of strange. Stranger than usual, I would say. Well, if it hadn't gone bad, that would actually be great for me. I could just go and hide in the infirmary. For such a legitimate reason, nobody could say anything else about me. Held my breath, drank the whole cup. Art room was on the way. Couldn't help myself, so I snuck up to the back door and tried and peek. Rocky was sound asleep, drooling with his mouth open. Jin was so focused Mr. Ren would be insane to tear up her sketch. Mr. Ren was standing with his back towards me looking at Jin's sketch. He must have liked looking at it so closely. I stood up on my toes to see the sketch, but he suddenly turned around. Thank God I crouched in time. However, the sudden movement must have caused my stomach to start hurting. It felt like a bad cramp, and it was getting worse and worse. Leaned against the door and crumbled. I felt like I was dreaming. In my dream, he was carrying me on his back and asked me where I wanted to go. I said I wanted to go see the rainbow at _𝐬𝐿 Mountain. Shuang. I heard that the rainbow was gorgeous there. He said okay. But _𝐬𝐿 Mountain was hard to get to. Even taxis wouldn't take us. Mr. Ren kept carrying me on his back, and he kept running and running. I fell asleep in the dream too. But did we ever see the rainbow or not? Nevertheless, it didn't really matter. I just wanted the dream to last a bit longer and longer and longer. What? What does that mean? Something I gotta do with his letter? What if I put everything on his side? That should... Yeah, that only changes hers? Okay. I lay on the roof, staring at the gray sky. I was counting the clouds. To go, not to go, to go, not to go. I didn't know how many times I counted before I fell asleep. Didn't wake up till it was already dark. There was a new text message. Classroom is full. You should have seen how many of those people I shut up for bad-mouthing you. Oh, and Mr. Wen tore up everyone's sketches. Probably should have gone. What should I do about the day after tomorrow? Well, that's... Is that all hers? Yeah, that's all hers. What do I do with Rocky? Because his is an S, but it's like... No, let me just quickly... Oh, there we go. Jimmy finally came back. His gaming console was lying in the middle of the spilled water like an island in the middle of the dark lake. He lost it. How dare you break my console? How dare you not wash your clothes for so long? That's none of your business. Oh, but it is. It's not even the first time. What are you talking about? I'm talking about those photos that you secretly took. I'm the one who posted them. What did you just say? You have a crush on Li Wen, right? You even stalked her. You're such a psycho and a loser. If you really liked her, why didn't you just tell her? None of your business. Jimmy tossed his console away and lunged at me, wrestling and rolling in the dirty water until the RA pulled us apart. He made it clear that if we weren't already graduated, that he'd make sure that we suffered the most severe consequences. Jimmy and I went to the grill bar and ate an unhealthy amount of wings. That was the end of our high school area. I would miss it. Can I... Why is this... Unless that's just his color? I assume that's just his color. Fine, I'll do one more. 2 p.m. The 32nd floor of the Shanglong Court building. The women's restroom. I pressed the button on my phone, timed to the movement of the hands on my watch. Almost immediately I heard a muffled boom from the bottom of the building. The entire building shook slightly, made a subtle grinding sound. The latest instructions coming from the building's security leader on the radio broadcast through their dedicated channel. 2 guards on the top floor rest on the ground. Turned off the radio, walked out in the bathroom in the janitor's uniform. I blended into a crowd of panicking, confused salarymen. Then I ducked into a security stairwell, went up to the 33rd, the highest floor of the building, which was reserved exclusively for chief executives of the corporation. I reached for my knife hidden in my waist, planned to ambush the 2 guards before they noticed me. There was no one in the hall. I opened the door to the president's office. There's no one there either. I began to scour through the office. Opened a closet, body rolled out. The door was kicked open. Two steps back, then sprinted forward and burst through the window. I held on the rope with my right hand sent all the way down to the ground. A couple people had seen me while I was dropping and let out some admiring and terrified gasps. Their attention was soon pulled away from the explosion on the top floor. The body in the closet had been my target, the president of Shenglong Corp, Liang Zilong. Someone had gotten to him before I could. What I couldn't understand, though, was why there was a bomb tied to his body. It was some kind of bomb that would detonate upon disturbance when the timer ran out. It was much more powerful than the one I had made. I could only think of one reason. Their assassin had known that someone else was after the same target, so it had been a prank. In fact, my mission tonight was more than just killing. There was something else. I was supposed to retrieve a black metal box that he had. I had no idea what was inside this box, but it must have been something extremely important. I was afraid that box had fallen into the hands of the other assassin. Who could this person be? Had he known that Ray was also looking for the same box? Was the prank specifically designed for me? Pain from my left arm erupted my thought. Only then did I realize my left arm had been blown to pieces. My left palm had completely disappeared. Alicia. Lieutenant King was not there. Neither was Officer Min-jun or Ji-Lon. I was alone in the office, working on the suspect's statements and feeling a little lonely. The lieutenant told me to make him pay. Officer Ji-Long said the lieutenant used to tamper with the amount of goods and money when dealing with smuggling cases so the criminal would get a heavier sentence. This guy was already an accomplice to murder. How could I make that case worse? I didn't know what to do. I was scratching my head when the phone on the lieutenant's desk rang. It was an honest tip to a murder. Unit 4 usually handled cases related to gang violence or drugs. Why would we get a tip about a murder? I wasn't sure how to deal with this situation, although I didn't have much at hand to deal with right now anyway. My heart of justice was beating with excitement. I grabbed my gun and walked out. Oh, you got a gun now. I was about to take the stairs when I heard someone yelling loud behind me. I turned around. It was Lieutenant Kim Jong-ho of Unit 3. Kim asked if I was heading to a murder scene reported by an anonymous tip. He said I should not go alone and that he was coming along with me so that we could look after each other. It seemed like a good idea. Got into a patrol car, started the siren. 4 minutes later, we arrived at the apartment building of the scene. It was a 2-floor rental building. Vaguely see fire through the windows of one of the apartments in the 2nd floor. Something wasn't right. Anyone home? Knocked on the door. No response. Knocked even harder and yelled some more, but still nothing. Kim stopped me and said we should just wait for the apartment manager to open the door. The whole apartment had been engulfed in fire. When the manager turned the key and touched the doorknob, he suddenly jumped back. Stepped ahead and grabbed the knob. It felt like soldering iron burning my palm. Bit my own lip to stop myself from screaming. As soon as I forced the door open, flames leaped out of the apartment. Almost smelled my hair getting burnt. Lieutenant Kim had taken a few steps back. If the tips had been true, there might still be people inside. I took a step towards the door, but Lieutenant Kim grabbed me. Are you crazy? Look at the fire. You'll be burned to ash. We've been here for over 20 minutes. Who might still be in there who's already dead? He made a good point. Waited until the firefighters put out the fire before we went inside. Everything inside had been scorched. All the furniture had been incinerated. We found 2 bodies that were completely unrecognizable. One in the bathroom, one in the living room. We had to send them back for autopsies. We didn't learn the identities of bodies until the next day. I could not have imagined that they were Officer Min-jun and Lieutenant King. I should have charged inside. I could have saved them. Okay. What do we got? When I open the closet... No, the door was kicked open. Closet. Burst through the window. Let's just swap them. Let's see what happens. My kung fu instincts from the Shaolin training were telling me that I should not stay here any longer and that I need to get out as soon as possible. Only by the sound of shattering glass, I landed on the ground steadily. I saw 2 cars stopping in front of the apartment. Every person coming out was officer from Unit 3. The image of Min-jun lying there with his eyes wide open was still imprinted in my mind. How did he die? Why was he there? Why would Unit 3 show up right now? And what about that suspicious tip? Too many puzzles that I wanted to discuss with Lieutenant King when I saw him. I never could have guessed that the next day, I would learn even more shocking piece of news. The lieutenant had died too. And they put out a warrant for me, saying I had become a fugitive. His case had so many ties to Unit 4, he turned into a wild horse charging down a freeway. I no longer had any control of the situation. Perhaps I should just not run away. Maybe things would have been different if I had just stayed. Okay, then don't stay. My target, the president of 𝐂.𝐒.𝐀, 𝐬𝐮𝐣𝐬, was supposed to be in the office, but he was nowhere to be found. Besides killing him, I needed more tests. Find the black metal box. I got lucky. Next, I found the metal box that Ray had asked me when I dropped down onto the floor to get away from the heavy smoke. It had been glued to the bottom of the couch. After leaving, I ducked into a security stairwell again. There was almost nobody in it. I was wearing a janitor's uniform and calmly walked down the stairs, got down to the 5th floor. 4 security guards followed by someone in a doctor's coat walked past me. The person in the coat looked familiar, so I turned my head and looked around. Then I realized he was looking at me too. Then I remembered he was the doctor summoned to check up on me at 𝐬𝐻𝐻's mansion. 𝐬𝐻𝐻's entire household had been wiped out, and everyone in the underground world knew that the Black Dragon Gang had done it. Yet no one dared to say a word about it. After all, 𝐬𝐻𝐻 was merely a money man who had no other connections. No one knew that there were any survivors from that unfortunate accident. If anyone were to survive, that person must be deeply involved with the Black Dragon Gang. The doctor had recognized me and told anyone 𝐶.𝐤 would have had a connection to the gang to their boss's death. Ray would be in trouble. We were getting further away from each other one step. This uneasy feeling kept dripping from my heart like a leaking water tab, one drop at a time. I made up my mind just before it to disappear. My dagger cut through the air like a silver lightning bolt and went through the doctor's throat, and the next time 4 bullets left the silencer of my gun and took out the others in the stairwell. Gave the doctor, who had saved my life, one last look, lying on the stairs with his left hand covering his chest. Never learned what his name was, and never had the chance to ask him. Closed my eyes, shook my hand, and turned around. It was too late when I suddenly realized something had touched my back. A cold, familiar sensation kept pushing through my skin, through the gaps between my back ribs, through my heart, finally through the gaps between my front ribs and the skin. My dagger had missed the artery by just a little. The tiny bit of mercy that remained in my heart had turned out to be my fatal mistake. I watched as the box dropped out of my arm, fall down the stairs, clanging the whole way down. Reached out, attempting to catch it, but I couldn't. Let's try this. I smashed the window of the bathroom. To my surprise, I found Lieutenant King passed out on the bathroom floor. Even more surprising, when I carried him in the living room, his foot accidentally bumped the door's closet, which knocked open. Then a body rolled out from inside. I recognized the body. Officer Min-jun. It had only been a few days since we last saw each other. Never would I ever imagine seeing him like this. I couldn't think anymore, so I had to leave Officer Min-jun to Lieutenant King at the scene. I drove Lieutenant King to the hospital myself as fast as I could. Lieutenant King was mostly okay. The doctor said he had some serious alcohol poisoning. However, this was only the beginning. Next day, I went to visit the Lieutenant, who was still in a coma, but a bunch of men from Unit 3 kicked me out. They had reason to believe the Lieutenant might be heavily involved with Min-jun's murder. From now on, they were putting him under 24-hour surveillance. I hadn't had time to check Officer Min, as I had to rush Lieutenant King to the hospital. The autopsy had been concluded, and the entire process was under the complete supervision of Unit 3. Too late to look for more clues at the scene. The guards who had broken into the office caught me inside. I bumped behind the couch using it as cover. I had M4 guns and hundreds of bullets in my janitor's uniform. I was going to claim my victory. Pulled out the first gun aimed at the big man. But then the closet in the corner of the office suddenly exploded. Flames erupted, engulfing everyone in the room. Okay, so no. No door was kicked open. Like that? Because the body rolling out triggers the... I smashed the window. The glass fell on an unconscious man. I turned him over. Lieutenant Kang. I left the scene to Lieutenant King and drove King to the hospital. Fortunately, Lieutenant King was mostly okay. The doctor said he only had some serious, however, that was only a beginning. Next day, I went to visit Lieutenant, who was still in coma, but a bunch of men from Unit 3 kicked me out. They told me Officer Min-jun's body had been found in Lieutenant King's home. Reason to believe that Min-jun was murdered, and that the lieutenant might be heavily involved. For now... Okay, I couldn't believe my own ears. Damn it, I should have examined the room more carefully. The autopsy had been concluded, and the entire investigation and process was under the complete surveillance of Unit 3. It would be too late for me to look at the scene. The body had just rolled out of the closet was my target. Someone had gotten to him before I could. What I couldn't understand, though, was why a bomb was tied to his body. It was the kind of bomb that would detonate upon disturbance when the timer ran out. Much more powerful than the one I made. The bomb had erupted into a glorious monster. I swallowed everything in sight, including the room and me. Okay, what about... There we go. There we go. Nothing on her side, everything on his. The officers from Unit 3 broke into the apartment and found Officer Min-jun. They also found me unconscious. I apparently passed out after inhaling too much smoke. We were rescued from the fire. When I woke up, first thing I did was tell people about Lieutenant King was still behind the jammed bathroom door. He was passed out inside, but it was already too late. He told me that the fire had been put out for a while and they had found a burned body. My target had not been in the room. However, he was only part of the mission. I had an even more important risk, find that box. I couldn't find the box. I spent too long searching. I must have hidden it somewhere that wasn't in plain sight. I could have had more time if it wasn't for the bomb that had been placed in the closet. It was too late. The closet exploded. The flames erupted everything in the room. What's the history look like? Oh, Jesus. Okay, kick the door open. What about that? No? Okay, kick the door open. Put her thing kicking the window open, or whatever. I recognized the man lying on the floor, Officer Min-jun's eyes wide open. There was a dark brown stain near his chest. The blood had dried. The shape of it, gunshot. The fire was getting worse in the living room. I covered my nose while looking around, but I could barely see anything. The flames were now licking the clothes of his body. I couldn't just leave him there. I carried his body out of the fire and handed it over to Lieutenant Kim, who had been waiting at the door. The fire had become too big for go inside. We had to wait for reinforcements for the firefighters. We waited until the firefighters had put out the fire before we went in again. We found another completely immolated body. While I was still lamenting his death, another piece of shocking news. The second body was Lieutenant King. I held onto the rope with my right hand and descended all the way to the ground from the outside. A couple of people had seen me. Oh no, her. The lieutenant was soon pulled away by the explosion. My target had not been in the room. He was only part of the mission. I had an even more important task, which is to find the metal box. I couldn't find the box either. I spent a long time searching for it. He must have hidden it somewhere. I could have had more time if it wasn't for the bomb in the closet. I busted through the window as soon as I heard the ticking sound, but it was already too late. I couldn't feel anything in my left hand. I looked down where it used to be. Alright, let's see. The apartment had been engulfed in flames. Okay, let's try that. I recognized the man laying on the floor, Officer Min-jun's eyes wide open, blood on his shirt. Before I could check any further, the officers who had followed us here had pushed me aside and examined the body. It was a little strange. I was the one who had received the tip, but the scene was now overrun by Unit 3. Soon the CSI unit arrived. I couldn't quite accept his death, as the guys from Unit 3 wouldn't let me near the body, but I had no choice but to wander around the living room. When I passed a dresser, I noticed and knocked over a picture frame, flipped it over. A photo of Lieutenant King with a woman in her 30s. Hey, you, don't touch anything. Yes, you. Men kicked me from the apartment. I had to stand by the door and watch them carry his body out. Even more bizarre, they found Lieutenant King passed out in the bathroom due to apparent alcohol poisoning. Only found out that the place had been Lieutenant King's apartment. I held onto the rope with my right hand to descend all the way from the ground floor outside the building. I was also carrying a black metal box in my left arm. I accidentally found the box when I dropped down to the floor to get away from the heavy smoke. It had been glued to the bottom of the couch. Although 𝐬𝐬𝐧'𝐭 was nowhere to be found, Rand instructed me the box was top priority. The guards broke into the office after I escaped through the window. I could hear them directing a whole team to go after it, but it was already too late. I started my motorcycle, went into full throttle. Minutes later, I arrived at the back alley behind Melody Hall, where I opened the box. Were 2 cubes the size of a palm, which with differing markings. Ray gave me a reward after he made sure the items were intact. After that day, I had a dragon tattoo put on my stomach. Ray said that I earned the mark, as evidence that I had truly become his. Okay, then. Door kicked open. How about that, then? Body in the closet. Okay, that doesn't change her. That's good. I recognized the man laying on the floor. Min-jun's eyes wide open. There was a dark stain on his chest. Blood. Gunshot wound. Why would he be here? Where on earth was this place? What had happened to him? I looked around the living room. A lot of empty beer bottles, most of which were empty. Some of them were not empty, though. The beer had spilled all over the place. There's still a lot of burning candles on the floor, too. Lieutenant King is passed out over here. I heard Lieutenant Kim's voice coming from the bathroom. Lieutenant King? Why was he here? I got back up and walked to the bathroom. When I walked over past the dresser, I noticed a knocked over picture frame. I flipped it over. There's a picture of Lieutenant King with a woman in her 30s. King looked much younger in the photo. He even seemed a little shy. Both of them were in uniform with their guns holstered. Couldn't look away from the woman. I finally remembered. She had been the previous lieutenant of Unit 2, 𝐬𝐬𝐧'𝐭 Sok, a legendary figure in the Busan police precinct. She was a beautiful woman, but more importantly, she considered to be better than any of the male officers in the force. She was famous for incredible courage and decisiveness. She was the idol of almost every young officer. Even during my days in the academy, a lot of my classmates had her photo in their private collections. That's how I recognized her. The photo had been taken before she was killed in the line of duty. Tang Look had just joined the force too. Perhaps he was a fan. There's nothing strange about that, so this might be Lieutenant King's home. Why would Minjun's body be here then? Suddenly remembered the Nas tip. I was starting to get more and more suspicious. Minjun had been shot, still in his undercover outfit, which I had seen a few times. Went back to check the body, and there was nothing in his pockets, but I did notice a keychain attached to the waist. Heard Lieutenant King coming from the bathroom, must be wondering why I hadn't responded. I took the keychain off and hid it. Please, Buddha, please bless me. Bless me so I can find the truth to avenge Officer Minjun. There we go. Oh, and there's How did it end up with this? How could Officer Minjun be dead?
Te extraño.
Carlos, will I ever see you again? Stop. Oh, it was a nightmare. No, it was more than that. Everything has already happened in reality. And I've tried everything I could. I thought it was raining. However, looking outside, it was the exact same as I woke up after losing my memories. The sky is still red. Snow keeps falling down. Even the snow looks red, perhaps as a light. Doesn't seem to be anyone in the buildings on either side of the street. There aren't any people on the street. There aren't any animals, no birds, dogs, nothing. There aren't even any trees or grass. Rain only appears in my dreams. It never stops snowing outside. Is this what the God's world looks like? I wonder what the human world looks like right now. Yo, you're up early. What time is it? 4 o'clock in the morning. It's only 4? Nothing seems to change outside the window. I can't even tell whether it's morning or not. Human world has day and night, right? Why don't we have that? Well, that's because we live in a different world. Really? I want to go for a walk. I'm afraid you can't do that. Why not? To us, there is no outside. Everything you see from that window is just an illusion. This house is all there is to our world. You're telling me that everything I see outside the window is fake? That's correct. Every outside is fake. Even the house we're living in doesn't really exist. All of this is built by our combined imagination. Our world and the humans' world will have no intersections at all, not in time nor in space. Well, could we go to their world and all by teleportation like you did? Or maybe there's a door of some kind that could open to any place you want to go? Why do you want to go to their world so much? I haven't been feeling too well recently. This job, it's not like what I first imagined it would be. I thought I could give everyone a perfect happy ending. Tragedies keep happening one after another. Don't know what I've done wrong. Do I not understand them well enough because I'm not human? Or is it because I'm not familiar enough with the world so I can't understand the consequences of my decisions? So you want to go there and witness their lives for yourself? Yeah. Unfortunately, we're unable to go to their world. Besides, we don't really need to. We are gods. We all need to fulfill the humans' wishes. It is our duty to create a wonderful world based on our judgment. You have too much kindness in you, and that's why you're overthinking it. No matter what decisions you make, the humans will accept them, simply because they don't have other options. But we're gods. How can we be so careless about their sincere wishes? Humans never truly understand what they want, ever. They get themselves in trouble because they're afraid to take responsibility for their actions and choices. That's why they always hope the gods can fix everything for them. God will help me. God will bless me. They are nothing but a bunch of cowards and losers. As long as we help them resolve their immediate dilemmas, we have our job done. As for the other problems that lie in their future, those have nothing to do with us. The bottom line is this: even if we don't help them at all, they have no right to complain. After all, we are gods and they're just mere human. No matter what you do, you are always right. You will never be wrong. But I understand it might be a little difficult for you to accept this right now. You should just go take a nap and get some rest. We've talked enough today. I'll go make us some breakfast. Was I really overthinking things? Well, maybe I have to do it myself. And there we go. More mysteries to unfold, more things to unpack. But that all happens next time. Thankfully, it ended on much more optimistic look, I guess? I don't know. But anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Remember to have a good day. Bye-bye.